Hey everybody and welcome to the second OCTGN Open tournament. Today we have a featured match in between the two players Ryan and Jayden. Both are undefeated and have played incredibly well. The players are just drawing their cards and just preparing while we're at it. So it is going to be a really interesting match indeed. Undefeated players and fourth round, like I said before. It is going to be really interesting. And Stingz is taking the first turn. We see Laguna entering the field and Squall. That is the wombo combo indeed. So he goes down to 0 hand size himself but forces his opponent to drop down 2 cards. That is interesting. Very nice indeed. So we immediately see pressure on his opponent. That is very interesting. So being forced to drop down his first starting hand down to 3 is absolutely a massive play. Very interesting by Stingz indeed, and Ryan is forced to play now with 3 cards. Is he able to actually stop 2 9k forwards with just 3 cards? That is going to be really interesting. So I really pray for some really good top decking here for Ryan, because that's definitely needed. That is definitely needed at this point. Very scary opening, and this game might not go on as long as Michael's and his opponent's Earth versus Earth game just before. Alright, Ryan here is playing, could it be mono water? I'm not sure, but we're seeing discarding a Cecil for a Waka, and I'm assuming it is the 5-cost Cecil. Yeah, it's the Opus 1 5-cost Cecil. Very interesting. Oh, Leviathan, very nice indeed. Unfortunately, bouncing Squall is not always what you want. Bouncing the Laguna is usually safer, but on the other hand, Waka would be frozen if he does. So maybe freezing the Squall is still the best option here. Though if I was Ryan, I would probably try to spend all of my cards just playing something to the field here, if possible. Very interesting, very interesting. Alright, so how is he going to counter the Squall play? Yeah, well, that cost a couple of cards right there. Fair enough. Here we go. Stingz swings with Laguna. Waka is not likely to block. He is using the Ferry on Waka to be able to draw a card. Very interesting. He is playing Earth though, wasn't he? So we might be seeing something like Golems here, but it seems like he doesn't have any. He triggered in EX burst here a Roban, but the Roban not being very impactful as he is 1k short of murdering them. Really frustrating. Very frustrating indeed, and so close there. What Jayden wants to see now would probably be a Snow or maybe some sort of useful backup character so he can actually get some economy, because his opponent already has to deal with his forward power. So Snow and the backup would be fantastic. Either that or save to make sure that he can't be hit by something stupid like Shantoto. But fortunately for him, there aren't any backup here on Ryan's side. So this game is not over exactly yet, but it's strongly in Jayden's favor. He really set the tempo there in the early game, but we'll see, we'll see. He might still pull off the miraculous block with Waka and bounce the other for complete board wipe, for example. There are many ways that his opponent Ryan can still come back from this. We see Astrologian into the break zone. Normally you really want to play that against a nice deck because you could get frozen or dulled, but sometimes you don't really have the option. We see a Cloud of Darkness. Most likely it's just gonna mean Laguna or Squall goes into the break zone, and whatever character they already have is going to be broken. So, and the character, sorry, replayed. they might already have one on hand. They'll just replay the new character and profit immensely from it. Jayden could just play the Squall, and the last card in Ryan's hand would be sent into the break zone. Both players having a single forward and no backups on the field. And I'm expecting one of them to start building economy, and that player is gonna have a little bit of a difficult time, but it's going to be a huge thing going forward, so we definitely need to see that, and preferably a backup with some sort of tempo impact. That would be huge for Stingz. But we could see something like Robon, for example, from Ryan here on the bottom side. Just a small forward or two for either side would have been great as well. Jayden really looking for that snow. I just can see him looking for the snow. If he could have a snow, his opponent would be forced to bring another forward to the table. Right now they're both just saving it, the resources, and looking for good backups. Ooh, interesting. We see a Devout play here. Devout being super useful, and on the coming turn he can play a Squall to the field, and that could be the option as well then. And if that is the case, we definitely need some sort of tempo impact card, so maybe a Robon, for example. That would be a perfect play. Or Guy. Yeah, Guy does it as well. Why use Fairy when you can be immune? Fair enough. Keep in mind that we might see a Devout breaking here to play the Squall, and probably while the Laguna is attacking as well. Though on the other hand, we might see a Golem in hand for Ryan, in which case there is big trouble for Jayden. So we see it might just end here on this turn actually, if we see a failed Devout Squall running into a Golem, or if we see Waka or Guy blocking and being struck by the Squall trap. So which one is it gonna be? No, he is using it before attacking. Fair enough. Perhaps not wanting to risk it and just going for the Devout play for Squall, discarding two of his opponent's cards and then just taking it easy. Losing Hecaton Share and the 5-cost Opus 1 Cecil. Quite a nice catch there, forcing his opponent to lose another 2 cards, though with the Devout it was kind of obvious that it was coming. All the same, Ryan wasn't able to use the Hecaton Share and Cecil. They simply cost too much without having any backup. We see Jayden putting a Shantoto into the break zone. We see Robon here. Very nice indeed, and Robon being an absolute crazy play here. It is most likely going to deal with Guy. Guy is immune to it also, it just makes sense picking him. On the other hand, any Waka would mean a special, so that could be a little bit scary as well. Oh, a free card for Ryan, very nice. Very nice indeed. But he's probably gonna take another damage here. No, he goes the safe way out here. Just swinging with one character and not taking a damage. I probably would have swung for damage there, because why not? I like damage. And if you're ahead, your opponent just doesn't dare swing. They just sit there going back against the wall, hard on their heels and just not daring to proceed. And that is the position you want your opponent in when you're running so hard a tempo and no backups. We might see some sort of play here. Ryan really needing some sort of revenge here against his opponent. He would like something like maybe Leviathan or similar, and blocking with Waka, because if he bounce one he can break the other on the blocking. It is one of the finer plays and one of the weaknesses when you run something like Squall and Laguna, because if there is a removal you're just screwed immediately. But we'll see here, Ryan is trying to figure out the best play with his 3 cards and no backups. He's able to play a 2-cost card, a 3-cost card or a 4-cost card, but be down to 0 cards again. He chose to keep his cards, praying that he can just do something useful. Come on. Yeah, Duke Larg is discarded, and we see an Emperor. Wow. So there is not gonna be any abilities coming, that's for sure. So the option of using Whack and Status Reel to break an attacking character is completely gone. And we see no EX burst on the damage, on the first damage, and no EX burst on the second. Nope, no EX burst on the second. And that is the third Cecil in damage, I think. Yeah, Earth Cecil. Fair enough. Alright, so what are we gonna do here? We are seeing Ryan's turn up here again, and he has 5 cards at the moment, 5 cards in his hand, and he needs to produce at least one big forward, or preferably something more than that. It's probably gonna be game now, yeah. And if he got Cloud of Darkness, it would have been a great play, because it would have gotten rid of 2 of his opponent's cards while keeping the Whack on his field. But that's not enough. He needs some sort of play to counter the final card that his opponent might have. Shantotto probably wouldn't be a really great play either. It would clear the board though, resetting everything, but that's not really in a position we want to be either in an Earth deck, because an Earth deck in top deck mode with no backups can't really play any of the cards they draw. So that is really a problem. And I feel that the tempo that Jayden set here from the beginning really was very difficult to deal with. And if he play a Rinoa to the field now, it's going to be game immediately, because that Rinoa is an instant threat that cannot be blocked and cannot be attacked. So a Rinoa would just end the game here in Ryan's favor. Yeah, Ryan calls GG, taking the final damage there, and it is game over. Really unfortunate for him, drawing a really bad hand and being pushed up against the wall with his opponent starting out with the first turn Laguna and Squall. That is absolutely terrifying to face, and there is very little you can do about it. Really powerful start there by Jayden, and keep in mind that Jayden now is 4-0, a very good start indeed. And Ryan is at 3-1, so he definitely has a big shot at still going to the top cut. So check out those matches that will be coming in future rounds, because these 2 players are likely to be featured once again, both having played really good until now. Very nice to see indeed. And Jayden's deck being super offensive, that is kind of interesting, and I'm a big fan of Gipal. I'm a big fan of Robon, discard, on-play effects, and cards like the Rinoa, for example. So it's a very interesting deck. I think the Earth and Ice deck is going to go far, but there are more decks that are interesting to see. We have seen a great many decks here, and this is but one of them. Ryan's deck, Ryan was running Water and Earth, definitely a favorite combination of mine, and I think Earth and Water usually does fine, but he really had problems now in the early game. And I don't know why, I don't know what his deck build is like, but I'm imagining that he actually is running backups. He's probably running something like 18 or 19 backups, because that's usually what Earth does. It happens, it happens. So that is it for today, and please watch the next featured matches, and we'll see how this tournament ends. The top cut is going to be super exciting to watch, and keep in mind there are 2 more Swiss rounds now, so Ryan has a shot at winning the next 2 matches and score the top cut, and Jayden has a really good chance. As long as he wins one of the next 2 matches, he is definitely going to be on the top cut. So that is it for today, and I'm going straight to bed because it's like 1 AM here, and I'm going to be up in 5 hours. Well, have a good night. Bye.